you've been looking into the fact that Google is treating conservative news sites very different than liberal news sites. We're right now at the beginning, I think, of one of the most interesting and actually most worrisome stories in the entire tech industry when it comes to politics. Tell us what you found.
Well, conservatives feared this for a while, that the more Google gets involved in their platform and tailoring it to get rid of hateful conduct or get rid of terrorists using the platform, that they would start going after speech that they don't like or ideas they don't like. Yeah. And that's exactly what seems to be happening here, is that there's only a few publications that are on there, and they all happen to be conservative for the most part. Publications like Fox, Slate, that many would agree are liberal, do not have a reviewed claims section, which is a fact-checking section that publications like the Daily Caller has.
Right. Okay, so if I was to go and Google search the Daily Caller right now, and you can reverse engineer this at home and try it out, what would you find if you do that?
You'll find a section of what we write about, and you'll find a section called reviewed claims. It's pretty much fact-checking. Google hires third-party organizations, and they do dubiously objective fact-checking, and they say, here's a claim the Daily Caller made, and here's why it's wrong. Often the claim is not only what we didn't make, but it is just blatantly concocted by someone else, and we're not sure who. And the same thing is not other liberal publications aren't being given the same treatment.
Okay, so before I get to the even more explicitly liberal publications, let's start with, say, like the Washington Post. If I Google search the Washington Post, will you find, say, a Daily Caller fact-check or Daily Caller News Foundation fact-check of the Washington Post, of which I know there have been a few recently?
No, you actually find the opposite. The Washington Post is actually used as a fact-check for our articles, but when you go to the Washington Post, you will just find awards, and you'll find what they write about, instead of maybe all the false stories or misleading stories that have happened over the past couple of years.
Oh, weird. Is there an award section for the Daily Caller?
No, there's not, and we have plenty.
Okay, that's true. Edward Romero. By the way, so let's talk about the more liberal sites. Vox is an obvious one that comes to mind. Does Vox have a fact-check option when you Google it?
Absolutely not. And we are in contact with Google wondering why they do not have the same treatment as us. Regardless of the unfair fact checks that are just blatantly false, we want to know why are they not other publications like Fox given the same treatment.
You've been following the James Damore lawsuit from yesterday, of course. So James Damore, this former Google engineer who is being accused of being anti-diversity because he wants conservative viewpoints also represented by his company, has filed a class action lawsuit against Google. And in that lawsuit, he reveals like all of these very specific instances of bias that he sees within the company. One of them certainly is anti-conservative throughout, but one of them is that there were people in the company who were given peer bonuses by their coworkers for attacking James Damore at Google after he came out publicly. So Google, I think, has a lot to answer for right now, and I can't imagine that. I mean, maybe there's some degree of comfort that they feel like they're a liberal site, but they have to be a little bit nervous that sites like the Daily Caller are taking notice of this.
Yeah, I mean, our findings couldn't come at a more opportune time, and right as James Damore lawsuit comes out claiming that they're biased against conservatives, and then we see it directly on their platform. So it's really just like very coincidental that it came at the same time, but it actually proves our point that Google a lot of times is biased against conservatives. I mean, the Alphabet CEO, or now former, because he's stepping down and is going to be on the board still, wore Hillary Clinton's staff badge during the election night party.
Yes.
He said Trump are going to do these evil things as he's done in immigration. He's blatantly a liberal, and a lot of liberals are saying no, he can separate his partisanship with his business, but it doesn't seem like that's happening at the company.
There's nothing objective or detached about the way Google manifests its results, which is, by the way, the thing that's made it not only super wealthy, but the most famous search engine in the world. Eric, thank you. And by the way, Jack's eating habits, any comments on that?
No, sometimes you get some Indian food, and kind of the smell permeates the room, but I don't mind Indian food. Some of the colleagues do mind it.
Yes, even when it comes back on your coworkers. Okay, well, thank you, Eric. This has been another Daily Caller Newsroom. A lot of important stories today. We'll promise to bring you the lighter stuff later. Jack's story, not light, very important.